Sp4zie and plenty.
Hello YouTube, Sp4zie coming right at you. Welcome to another champion preview. This time around we're taking a look at Jhin, and how do we pronounce that? I am still from Sweden. The Virtuoso. He's primarily considered a marksman. He has a lot of unique abilities, like most new champions does these days. And that's why you're watching this video, because we're gonna break it down to make it simple and understandable. So let's start with the passive. It is called Whisper. Were you tired of 3 stacking abilities? Well, here you go. This passive has 4. Amazing. Nothing makes sense anymore. Jhin has an ammunition system, much like Graves. The first 3 attacks will be normal attacks, but the 4th one will automatically crit and apply an extra bit of damage based on the portion of the target's missing health. So execution. That is nice. When you fire the last bullet, you will start reloading, but you'll also gain a little bit of a movement speed buff for a short moment. The final part about this passive is about stats, so try and focus. Jhin cannot gain attack speed or crit chance by any items in the game. Instead, crit chance on items will give you a percentage of your total AD. Attack speed will also give you a percentage of your AD and also increase the movement speed buff you get after firing your 4th bullet. So crit and attack speed will actually give you AD instead. Now you'd have to crunch some numbers here in order to find the optimal starting item. Is it going to be Shiv or is it going to be a normal AD item like Infinity Edge? I'm not going to dive into that right now, as I feel like I haven't tested it enough, but that is the gist of the passive. And on a final side note, the crits on the 4th attack will deal a little bit less crit damage than other champions. However, do not be fooled by that. When you have that 4th bullet, you are going to deal a lot of damage and you are going to be looking to trade in lane. And now onto something a little bit more straightforward, the Q. It's called Dancing Grenade. It's a targetable ability that you launch onto a minion or a champion. It can bounce up to 4 times if there are enemies close enough to it that hasn't yet been hit by it. And for each target that it kills on the way, the damage will be increased. Potentially good for wave clear if you max it. Potentially good for punishing harass if someone stands too close to a minion. And that is basically all there is to it. The W is called Deadly Flourish, and it is the longest range damaging basic ability in the game. It is sick how far this can reach. The damage travels through minions and then it stops at the first champion you hit, so you can't hit multiple champions with it, but still it's going to provide some excellent wave clear if you're in the lane and the minions are coming in a line. Now if you hit a champion, it will just deal damage to it. However, if you or any one of your allies has hit this champion with your basic attacks within 4 seconds, this W will root them. So you'll see this little white icon next to the enemy champion, and that means if you hit them with a W, it will now not only be the longest range damaging ability in the game, it would also slap a little nice CC root on there for good measure. It's pretty crazy, to be honest. However, the base damage is not that high with it, and it has a pretty long cooldown, but still, it's pretty cool ability, I gotta say. The E is called Captive Audience. It is a trap ability. More specifically, it's an invisible trap that you place. You can store up to 2 of them, and when a champion steps on it, it reveals the area. It applies a little small AoE slow to the area, and after 2 seconds, it detonates in an explosion that deals a lot of damage. Seriously, it's a lot. The slow is usually not strong enough to keep the champions in the area to get the explosion onto them. However, remember the little white passive that we talked about applied by your auto attacks. This ability also applies that, which means that if you're ready for them, you can prepare your W, fire it up prematurely. When they step on the trap, they immediately get rooted, and the damage explosion from the E will be secured. And again, it's a lot of damage. One thing that wasn't mentioned in the reveal is that there's a passive to this E called Beauty in Death. Whenever Jhin gets the killing blow on a champion, it leaves behind this little flower that reveals the area, slows enemies, and then detonates for damage. Kinda cool. Finally, we've gotten to the ultimate. It's called Curtain Call. When you click this ability, the camera sort of zooms out. You become stationary and you're channeling, and then you can fire 4 projectiles that stops at the first champion you hit. It will slow the champion and it will deal physical damage to them, which is increased by a percentage of their missing health as well. And the 4th shot will crit for 200% damage. Oh yeah. The usage of this ultimate is going to be a little bit varied. You might want to use it prematurely to fight. You might want to use it as a cleanup afterwards. The slow part of it makes it really useful for catching people, chasing down people, initiating fights, which is kind of cool because you don't usually get that from an AD carry, right? Remember though that this ultimate is completely useless in terms of like mid-team fights, skirmish mode activated. You're going to get interrupted. You're not going to angle it correctly. It's just going to be a mess. So keep that in mind. So there you have it. Those are the abilities, and my initial thoughts are just, man, I can't wait to try this in mid lane. I mean, I'm looking at his kit and I'm just really excited. You have an ultimate that is sort of like a little bit like Serath, which, you know, I love. I have a lot of queries in my mind as to which ability will be best to max. Sure, W is insane in terms of like the range, but the Q has a better consistent wave clear. Meanwhile, the E is pure burst. Fun fact, E actually stacks if you put 2 traps on top of each other, so you can potentially set this up, prepare for when the enemy jungler is coming to gank you, and then just burst him down immediately. It's gonna be great. I hope this video clarified a few things for you. I hope that you sort of got a grasp of his kit. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below. I'll try and answer as many as I can, and if I don't get to it, one of my fellow viewers will. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to award me with a little bit of a like, because I do enjoy it. You can also subscribe to my channel. I release 3 videos a week. Most of them are League of Legends related. You won't be disappointed. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Sp4zie, and I am out. Dudes!